And now, the most reasonable talk show host from Sop Choppy to the Redneck Riviera, here is Bob Kerrigan.
Good evening and welcome to Within Reason. For those of you who are wondering where Mr. Rankin is, his new fan club, he'll be back in a couple of weeks, and we will talk about the conservative and liberal issues or whatever the current subject of interest is for the night. This tape that we're about to run is Joe Scarborough in his history of activities on the air, and we're going to roll that tape now from some things he said in the past.
A Washington insider if there ever was one, a folk hero, our friend, MSNBC's own Joe Scarborough.
Yeah,
how's that for an intro, Joe?
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm so sick of Southern guys with ranches running this country. I want a guy to run for president, a ranch.
Go around flipping people off or screaming you at the top of their lungs. I suggest that...
All right. Well, there's three instances in the past where this language has occurred. Now we're going to run another segment that I think you'll find interesting, so we're going to roll that now.
Barnacle also, the nature of this campaign has really been the steady nature of Barack Obama, the steady nature of David Axelrod, the not so steady nature of Robert Gibbs, only because he went to Auburn. But these are good, decent, steady men that don't go around flipping people off or screaming you at the top of their lungs. I suggest that you missed the Jay Carney story. Now, that was the Jay Carney story.
I didn't use the word.
Honey. So Mike Barnacle. Yes, sir. The chances are good that Rahm Emanuel is going to have to become a member of the Obama campaign.
The chances are better than without the 7-second delay. But anyway.
Say that, I think. Hold on, let me call a timeout.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
No, you meant to say the
I did
letter.
not say what
Hold
you
on.
said.
Come to mommy right here. You meant
I'm making
to say
the one on Ambien. If I actually said the word instead, did I say the word or did I say what Jay Carney said?
You meant to say the letter, but we should clarify and apologize
I
if
said
everyone heard
the
it
letter.
that way.
Jay Carney had told a story earlier about a conversation.
And he used the word, but it was off air.
And yeah.
It's fine.
Okay,
Apologize, move on.
So I repeated, so great apologies if I said the word instead of the letter. My wife is going to kill me
Susan,
when I
we
get
are
home.
so sorry.
Worse than the FCC.
I'm so sorry. Great apologies.
I'm going to text her right now.
Now, Chuck Todd, I'm going to go get some soap. So that's what you get in political stories.
It's
Go
okay.
ahead.
It's true. It's tough.
Now, anybody can inadvertently say something, especially on live television. I've been live television for now over 20 years. It can happen. That's never happened to me, but it can happen. It's happened to Joe a number of times. But here's the real problem, and it's the problem. Joe came from the 94 Republicans. There is a sense of self-righteousness about them. They all were cut from the same cloth. They had a contract with America. They were going to restore the dignity to the Congress. They were going to straighten out all of the terrible things that the liberals had done. Republicans made it a central plank of the platform that family values were going to control, decency, honorable conduct, good language, and it's all this self-righteous talk. And the problem is, when you engage in that, just like however many examples of Republicans that have tripped and fallen, is the public holds you to a very high standard. You're the one that said you were going to restore family values and you were going to restore decency. Let me just read you some of the things that Joe did. He engaged in a campaign after the Janet Jackson debacle to go to Congress and to try to get sanctions against CBS and Janet Jackson and everybody else. But let me back up a second and read this. On October 27, 2003, Scarborough expressed extreme anger that the FCC refused to impose fines on ABC when Bono used the F word during a live broadcast of the Golden Globe Awards. The show was live, and unlike Scarborough Country, the F word was not bleeped out. Earlier this month, the FCC ruled that Bono's acceptance speech and his use of the word was not a violation of indecency rules. And his guest is Robert. So Joe is saying, Robert, it was 8 o'clock. Kids were watching this. You've studied television and pop culture. What does it say about our FCC that we've come this far? You could say gone this far backward, that somebody could say the F word on TV and get the federal government's approval. Scarborough then even boasted to his guest that his upbringing was so fine that he was taught not to use such word. Robert, I'm glad to hear that you don't use the words and you don't use them growing up. All I say is my mom put soap in my mouth more than once or twice. One of the unreported stories of the year. A resurgence in this story is the U.S. restarting dirty wars in Latin America, which were, of course, made famous by our current president's father, who was sort of the kingmaker with Ronald Reagan of the dirty wars. A resurgence of U.S.-backed militarism threatens peace and democracy in Latin America. By 2005, U.S. military aid to Latin America had increased by 34 times the amount spent in 2000. In a marked shift in U.S. military strategy, secretive training of Latin American military and police personnel that used to just take place at the notorious School of Americas in Fort Benning, Georgia, including torture and execution techniques, is now decentralized. The 2008 U.S. federal budget includes $16.5 million to fund an international law enforcement agency, ILEA, law enforcement agency, in El Salvador, with satellite operations in Peru. With provision of immunity from charges of crimes against humanity, each academy will train an average of 1,500 police officers, judges, and prosecutors and other law enforcement officers throughout Latin America per year in, quote, counterterrorism techniques. Now, just a minute. Let's back up for a second. What terror group is in El Salvador or in Nicaragua or Guatemala? What terror group is in Panama? This is the same stuff we've done for decades. We prop up our military buddies in these countries, ostensibly as democratic leaders, most of which are just military leaders in the country, and we fuel them with arms and training to kill and put down dissenters. We did that throughout Central America and South America on various fronts and in various ways. And now we're back doing the same thing. The entire Plan Colombia is a complete military ruse. There's no logical reason why we send the amount of money we send to Colombia other than to prop up Uribe, using, and has been for years, propping up the paramilitary through Uribe and his relatives to kill other Colombians. That's anybody who opposes whatever little dictator we've popped up for the moment. And in Colombia, they want to broadcast what a wonderful democracy it is. To an extent, it is a democratic government. But the means that they've used to put down dissent in Colombia are staggering. And we have armed the Colombians with endless military force to kill the rebels. If, in fact, this is as bad as this appears in this story, and the story is much longer than what I've read, that we are starting these dirty wars again, there will be people in the Obama administration well familiar with the abuses of the Bush administration and the previous Bush administration and the Ronald Reagan administration that will want to stop it. So we may see a dramatic change in the way we interface with other countries in the region. We thank you for joining us. Within Reason is broadcast live here every Wednesday at 8 o'clock. We appreciate your calls and comments and your participation in the program, and look forward to having you with us next week.